All right, let's dive into something we all experience every single second of our lives, but almost never stop to think about. It's this deep, fundamental mystery that's hiding in plain sight. We're talking about the arrow of time.
I mean, think about it. Why can you remember what you did yesterday, but you have no clue what's going to happen tomorrow? Our lives only move in one direction. We get older, not younger. The past is fixed, but the future, well, that's a total unknown. This one-way street is what physicists and philosophers call the arrow of time.
You know, people have been trying to wrap their heads around this forever. Way back, the Roman poet Ovid called it a flowing river. But it wasn't until 1927 that a physicist, Sir Arthur Eddington, gave it that cool scientific name we use today, time's arrow. He wanted to capture this unique one-way property that seems to apply to time and nothing else.
And this is where things get really interesting. That one simple observation, that time moves forward, splits pretty much everyone, from physicists to philosophers, into two huge competing camps. Is the arrow built right into the fabric of time itself? Or is it just something that emerges from all the physical stuff happening within time?
Okay, so here's the big showdown. In one corner, you've got the intrinsic camp. They believe that this arrow is a fundamental property of time. To them, time actually flows. But in the other corner, you have the extrinsic camp. They say, nope, you've got it all wrong. For them, the flow is something that just emerges from all the stuff happening inside of time. All right, let's dig into that first idea. Let's talk to team intrinsic. For these guys, our gut feeling about time, that feeling of it constantly moving forward, is pretty much on the money. They don't see time as just a static backdrop. They think it's an active, flowing part of reality.
The fancy name for this is the dynamic theory of time. And it's exactly what it sounds like. Time is dynamic. It's active. The difference we feel between the past, the present, and the future isn't just in our heads. They believe it's a real, objective feature of the universe.
So what's their proof? Well, get this. Their biggest piece of evidence is you. It's your own direct, undeniable experience. Philosophers call it the felt whoosh of experience. That constant sense that the now is arriving and then, poof, it's gone. For this camp, the fact that the future feels totally open and the past feels completely locked in is a huge clue about how reality actually works. And to help us picture what they mean, they've come up with some really cool analogies. First, you've got the river of time. Imagine you're standing on the bank and the river of moments is just flowing past you. Or what about the moving spotlight? Picture all of history laid out like a film strip, and the now is just a single spotlight moving along it. Then there's the growing block idea, which is a bit wild. It says the past and present are real, and reality itself is literally growing as each new moment gets added to the block. Okay, so that's one side of the story. But now let's cross the aisle and hear from Team Extrinsic. This is where a lot of physicists hang out. And their explanation starts with something called entropy. Right off the bat, this camp says our feeling that time flows is basically a massive, very convincing illusion. They think of time as just another dimension, like up-down, left-right, forward-back. It doesn't have a built-in direction. So where does the arrow come from? Well, they say it comes from the laws of physics themselves. And the key to their whole argument is this one concept, entropy. Don't let the word scare you. It's basically just a scientific measure of disorder or messiness. And one of the most fundamental rules in the entire universe, the second law of thermodynamics, says that in a closed system, like our universe, things tend to get messier over time. Order gives way to disorder, almost always. A perfect way to think about this is a sandcastle. You build a perfect, intricate sandcastle on the beach. That's a state of very low entropy, right? It's highly ordered. But what happens next? The wind, the waves, it starts to crumble. Entropy is increasing. And eventually, what are you left with? A flat pile of sand. High entropy. Total disorder. You see, the process only goes one way. You'd never see a flat pile of sand magically assemble itself back into a castle. That one-way street, they say, is the arrow of time. Okay, but wait a second. This whole idea creates a gigantic puzzle. If the universe naturally goes from order to disorder, why on earth was it so incredibly ordered at the very beginning? I mean, shouldn't it have started out as a complete mess? That would have been way more likely, statistically speaking. So what gives? And here's the thing. To make their theory work, scientists have to basically plug in a special rule.
They call it the past hypothesis. It's not a law they discovered, it's just an assumption they have to make. It says, well, for some reason, the universe just started in a super special, highly ordered, low entropy state. That's it. And as physicists will be the first to tell you, this is a huge deal. The past hypothesis is something we can see evidence for. We know the universe started out orderly, but we have zero fundamental explanation for why. It remains one of the biggest, most profound mysteries in all of cosmology. So where does that leave us? We're staring at a massive, unsolved cosmic puzzle. This isn't some settled science, it's a live debate happening right now in physics and philosophy, with two totally different ways of looking at time's arrow. So let's just lay it all out, side by side. The intrinsic camp says the arrow comes from time itself. It's all about our direct experience of time's flow. The extrinsic camp says nope, the arrow comes from things happening in time. It's all about entropy, the laws of physics, and that one big mysterious assumption about the past. So at the end of the day, we're left with two powerful, compelling, and totally different explanations for why we can remember yesterday, but not tomorrow. And that brings us to the final question I want to leave you with. That feeling you have right now, the feeling of this moment arriving and then slipping away, is that a glimpse into a deep, fundamental truth about how reality works? Or is it just a grand cosmic illusion, a trick of the mind, created simply because our universe happened to begin in an incredibly tidy state billions of years ago? The answer doesn't just change how we see the universe, it changes how we see ourselves.